Hello, my name is Kaz. I'm with Simtable. I'm here to demonstrate some of the new features added to the evacuation module inside of any hazard. These updates include the ability to draw evacuation zones and destinations, assign the ready, set, go status of a given zone, and apply evacuation zone templates to your scenarios. So first, let's start with adding an evacuation zone. As you can see here, I can select the Draw Evacuation Area tool and specify an evacuation zone of interest. I'm going to draw a little polygon right over here. And upon drawing an evacuation zone, it by default is set to go status. And so we can see the outline here in red is specified, and I'm going to go ahead and paint some vehicles onto the road network here. And what we'll see is, because of the default go status, these vehicles immediately are set to a red color, and they evacuate from the area, the evacuation zone. So we can add multiple evacuation areas. I'm going to go ahead and add a second one down over here. And again, evacuation zones that are drawn default to the go status. And again, we see the vehicles here change color and evacuate that particular zone. So we can also draw a destination area. So I'm going to go ahead and add a destination area down over here. And we can see that it shows up in a bluish color. And I'm going to go ahead and paint some new cars onto the road network. And what we'll see here is, when we hit play, that the vehicles that are in those zones are tied to the destination area, and all the evacuees will take the quickest route to that destination. You can see here the traffic filling up over here on Cerritos Road from those two zones, but they end up eventually at the destination area. So we can also change the status of these evacuation zones. In the United States, the Ready, Set, Go protocol is typically used in most areas. And so in this case here, I've set these two evacuation zones to inactive. I can paint some cars down here, and we'll go ahead and hit play. And what we'll see is that vehicles in those zones basically assume no evacuation orders. So I can now change the status of these zones to ready. Ready is a preparatory state, and so no need to actually evacuate at that moment in time. Set is also preparatory, in the sense that the zone itself is not to be evacuated yet, but we want evacuees to be prepared. And then lastly, the go state. When these zones are set to go, again, the vehicles that are inside of those zones change their state and they become red, and then evacuate that particular zone. So lastly, we want to demonstrate how to apply an evacuation area template to a given area. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all the evacuation polygons from our given scenario. And what I'm going to do now is use a couple different tools to generate evacuation zones. We like to use a geojson.io to draw GeoJSONs, but you can also use Google Earth to draw different KMLs. So I'm going to use geojson.io first to draw some evacuation polygons. So I'm going to evacuate this area here with a GeoJSON. And I'm going to draw a second area down over here as a second area to evacuate. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and save a GeoJSON version of that. You can kind of see here map.geojson. And in Google Earth, I'm gonna do the same thing, maybe just in some different areas. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna create a new local KML. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a polygon to that KML. So I think here what I'll do is I'll evacuate this neighborhood up to this road. And let's add, specify the name here is evac zone 1. And we're going to add a second evacuation zone to this neighborhood up here. Oops, not forget these folks. We'll update this polygon. Make sure to include this neighborhood and the entirety of this neighborhood up over here. All right, so we'll save this as evac zone 2. And we'll go ahead and download this KML, and here we have it, untitled.kml. So if I go to my downloads real quick, here's that GeoJSON. I'm gonna just rename this here to evac zones GJ for GeoJSON, and this one here I'm going to call evac zones GE for Google Earth. So I have these two versions of polygon collections for evacuation zones. I'm now going to go back to AnyHazard, and in this case here I'm going to go to the settings, and in settings I can go to layers, and on the second row of tabs we can click evac template, and I'm going to go ahead and upload both the Google Earth KML, and I'm going to upload the geojson.io GeoJSON. When they've been uploaded, you can rename these. So I'll maybe call this evacuation zones Google Earth, and I'm gonna call this evacuation zones GeoJSON. Cool, so I'm gonna hit save all. Now I can go back to AnyHazard, and let's go back to our original scenario. So now that we've got those templates in the system, I'm gonna go ahead and use them by going to apply template. So you can see here, I'm gonna go first add the Google Earth zones. We can see zones that are brought in as a template are actually defaulted to the inactive state. And I'm going to go ahead now and draw in a quick destination area. And I'm going to go ahead and paint some cars down. And I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And from the template, I'm going to go ahead and maybe specify ready. Up here is set. And then perhaps the fire is getting close up to this area, so we will go straight to go. And we can see these vehicles evacuating, heading towards the destination area. I can then maybe change the status from this from ready to go instantaneously, and we can see these cars beginning to evacuate and again head towards the destination area. And so again, this was the template using the KML file. I can also reset and remove all polygons and apply the GeoJSON template. You can see here a different configuration of evacuation zones. I'm going to go ahead now and add another destination zone again, since the last one was removed. And I'm going to go ahead and paint some vehicles down and hit play. And maybe what we'll do is we'll just go straight to go. We'll just set these guys straight to go. And we can see here again, as these vehicles begin to evacuate those zones and start to fill up the streets and head towards the destination area. And that's about it. Hopefully you found this video useful in navigating the updated evacuation module inside of AnyHazard. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to support@simtable.com, and those folks should be able to get you squared away. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next one.